The Late Night Legends podcast is meant for an adult audience only. It may contain sexually oriented content. Content may not be suitable for sensitive listeners. Please be aware of your surroundings. Listener discretion is advised. Watch out.
Late Night Internet Podcast Radio Show. I'm your host, Frank Barrientos, United States of America. I'm here with my co-host, Joan, and our very special guests, PaigeizSenpai and StormPhrog. Amazing.
Hey. Howdy.
Hey guys.
Waiting to have them back on. If you're waiting to see them again on the show, here they are. So happy to have them. I've been looking forward to this podcast probably a lot more than I should have been. And perfect time for Paige to freeze like this. Oh, you're back. You froze like this for a
Welcome
second.
to the page.
All right.
God.
Announcements. Tonight, we were going to have Jesse on, and we were going to have Phrog and Paige meet Jesse, but Jesse took the night off, and it is also Kimberly's night off, and it's James's month off. So, got a lot of people off, and then we're introducing new legend, and I don't know if that's next. Is it next week or the week after? Is it 2 weeks, right?
Oh, what's the date today? Why would you ask me this question? That's so
the
weird.
22nd.
It's I think we're doing it the 5th, right?
Yes. It's
so
actually
then 2 weeks from now.
yes. Oh, next week is digital and quantum immortality.
Yes.
Which is,
Ooh, that's gonna be a good one.
are you familiar? Are you familiar with the concept? I can kind of let you know what the concepts are.
I absolutely have, and for people who don't know, I usually just say, look, just watch that video where Johnny Depp basically lives forever through his electronics.
That's
Oh.
transcendence. That's
Yeah.
transcendence, and that is going to be something that we talk about when it comes to digital immortality. Just to give everyone a preview of quantum immortality. Quantum immortality is the theory that you don't actually die when you experience death. Your mind shifts into a different body of yours on a different plane of existence or a different reality. So you don't ever experience yourself death. You'll just shift into an alternate dimension version of your, maybe at the same age, maybe at a different age, but it's sort of going along that roller coaster of cool things to think about.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love it. It's my topic. So that's going to be my show. After that is going to be the 5th, where we're going to introduce a new legend. And then after that, I think we're going to do a week off, actually, and it's February. I think that's what we're going to do with a week off. And then after that, I think Jesse's going to come in strong with one, right? Right, Joan? Is that right?
I believe so.
Yeah, we're going to see what Jesse wants to do, but that's what we got coming up. I got a new legend we're introducing. That new legend is going to do a new project. But I did mention that these two, but we're not really public about it just yet. We're still working out some of the details, and it's going to be cool. I think it's going to be fun. What do you guys think of that project? You guys think pretty exciting? Okay.
I'm very excited.
Absolutely.
Great. So, just want to give a few shout outs here before we get started. Shout out to Lord Cronus coming in hot with that eggplant emoji. Thanks for those 3 eggplants. ABG Turtle saying hi. What's going on? Our favorite Hein dropping some hearts. Hein, love you, buddy. Got to have Hein on again soon. And then we've got Wedo_G saying, what it do?
Wedo G?
Widow G. I'm guessing Widow G is a frog champ because he or she is part of our...
That's Papa Phrog.
Oh, that's Papa Phrog.
Yeah.
Frog.
Watching the tadpoles, adorable.
Did you know Mom and Dad watch our stream, Joan?
I did not know. That makes me feel special.
Yeah,
Maybe I'll curse one less curse tonight.
Just one.
Just one.
Yeah.
I don't want to limit myself now.
All right. So anybody else that wants to say hi? He says we do now. He watches. Amazing. Joan, do you want to get us started? Maybe you want to explain a little bit about what we're doing. I'm just kind of here to sit back and observe and be the ringleader here, but take us.
As a former teacher, you can't just tell me you're going to sit back and observe me. That gives me traumatic flashbacks to observations. I'm just going to sit back here. You do what you need to do.
As I silently judge you.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm doing. I mean, there's no
writing on their clipboard the whole time. Oh boy.
God, it's the worst when they try to be buddy with the students in the back. Like, no, shh. I'm not here. It's like, you are. You're right there. I can see you, and I'm scared.
Class.
Unannounced observation. Great. Love that for me. It's Tuesday. Just kidding, everyone. It's Monday. I know what day it is. Okay. So we have been going back and forth a couple of times talking about tarot. The first time was when these 2 lovely friends graced us with their presence. And I don't know if that discussion was on air, but we had a very in-depth discussion about ideas about the tarot. And then when we had our guest, Jacob Mayfield, on, who has his own book that we have given away now, has his own book about the history and practice of tarot as well. So a little history on tarot. We'll start with the history of tarot, and then I'm going to talk about my history with tarot. And then we're going to do some tarot readings. So, by me.
Sounds like a plan.
It is. That's the plan. Now I really feel like it's a class observation. Here are my the objectives of the day.
I'm just going to take the discussion that we had about tarot and having these ideas to have these 2 beautiful human beings on. Most of that conversation occurred after our last show. See,
yeah,
we generally give each other the Irish goodbye and just end the stream and we're done. We don't even say goodbye to each other. But when you 2 were on, we talked for almost an additional hour and a half.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I went on.
Yeah, I almost wanted to publish it for like Patreon, but we don't really use it, so we're not.
So, the modern idea of tarot would be unrecognizable to its creators. Being referenced as early as the 1440s, the card game, which the cards are derived from, are thought to have been created sometime in the 1430s amongst the northern Italian cities of Venice, Milan, Florence, and Urbano. Urbano. I'm not Italian. I'm from Jersey, but I'm not Italian, surprisingly. Fun fact, New Jersey has the most Italians outside of Italy, but it's not me. The card game was known as Tarucci and is played in a similar way to bridge, where the highest card of 4, also known as a trick, wins. There were 2 sets of cards. The lower ranking ones, known as pips, were similarly organized to how we see them today, with cups, swords being the same, and batons and coins being what we would call today wands and pentacles. The pips included cards numbered 1 through 10, and face cards of a king, queen, knight, and knave. Today, we would know the knave as a page. Along with a motto meaning fool. full card, which acted as a wild card. Are you trying to signal me for something?
No, you said Paige, so I was trying to point to Paige on
Oh,
And she started freezing at that moment because she was just like.
you were like,
I'm sorry about that.
I'm just gonna hold a face the whole stream so it'll just freeze. Okay.
Italians in Jersey. Yeah, that is how I. Thank you, Frank.
Urbano.
Urbano. Mozzarella. I can't make fun of Italians. That's rude. Or is it? Okay. Added to the game was an additional suit of 21 higher ranking cards known as the Triumphi or Triumphs. According to David Parlay in a piece written for Britannica.com, quote, such illustrations probably represented characters in medieval reenactments of Roman triumphal processions, similar to floats in the modern festival parades. They were originally unnumbered so that it was necessary to remember what order they went in. Additionally, I personally found this to be interesting. How Stuff Works article titled The Origin of Tarot, a Medieval Game of Triumph said, quote, these early tarot decks, such as the Visconti Svosora deck, were hand-painted and commissioned by wealthy families as symbol of their status. Using the cards for prophecy started around 1780 in France. Once again, from the How Stuff Works article, quote, French occultist Jean-Baptiste Elite, also known as Etela, French is hard, published the first definitive guide to tarot card reading, which laid the foundation for using tarot as a tool for spiritual and personal growth, unquote. So that's our very, very brief dive into the history of tarot itself. My personal history with tarot is I started reading in college, which was a mere 2 years ago because I'm very young. Just kidding. It was 10. So 10 years ago, started reading after I'd gone through a breakup with my now husband. The time was not. And I needed an outlet. And I found tarot to be a very good way of looking at something and being able to reflect on myself and digest how I actually feel about it, which is like carried over into my philosophy of reading today. So a lot of people will read tarot in many, many different ways. And there's really not too much of a wrong way to read it unless you're being harmful in your readings. Or like, I would say being predatory for profit is harmful, but that's like just me. So tarot is broken up with the major arcane and the minor arcane. Major is things that you will see throughout life and struggles you will always face, and it's never ending, and that's why it's always in a cycle. If you get a reading that has mostly major arcane, I've always learned that to mean that the universe has control of it, not necessarily you. It's out of your control. You need to let the powers that be. Minor is problems you'll face every day throughout life. And, you know, those are things that are more easily controllable and more easily seen and gone through cycles. Everything in tarot is also considered a cycle, so you can go through it. As I mentioned, there are multiple ways to read tarot. Some include knowing the zodiac signs that go along with each card, knowing numerology, which is the study of numbers and their meanings. I do a little bit of numerology, not a lot of numerology. There's also just intuitive readings, like someone looks at a card and bases it. There's tarot, and that's not to also be confused with oracle cards or affirmation cards, which are not cycled cards. They're just kind of like things that you can read and be like, that's nice. I like that. That feels good. Yeah. Or that feels bad.
Yeah.
You don't really do a reading with tarot. With oracle cards. You kind of just pull and embrace. So, are there any questions, class, so far?
I have a question.
Yes.
Is it easy for you to separate your feelings when you're doing someone else's reading? Because for myself, I don't think I could be like a reader because I'm such an emotional person. I think I'd start crying with the person and just be like, my emotions would get mixed in with theirs. I wouldn't know how to separate that.
Very much an empath.
Yeah.
Yes. So, okay. It depends on how you read. You can empathically read. I do not consider myself an empath. I put a lot of boundaries up emotionally with a lot of people. This is like real deep. Wow. No. So I put a lot of emotions up. I think my dog just tried to get into the room and that didn't work. Sorry. It was very scary. When I read cards, and I will go through a whole spiel with you, Paige, before we start. I tell you to think of a question, and you do not have to tell me your question. And this is a way to keep bias out of it as well. You can if you want to, you do not have to. And then when I read the cards, I tell you what those cards mean. Or how I would interpret the cards, but I don't try to interpret it to your problem unless you ask me to. And the reason for doing that is I like to use tarot as a reflective practice, meaning that whether you believe these cards have some mystical power or can foresee the future or not, doesn't necessarily mean that you can't relate to what's being said to you. So, for example, a lot of the times going through my breakup, I would get the Tempest card, which the Tempest usually represents patience. Now, was I mystically meant to get that card every single time? Up for you to decide. You give what you want power. But I am not a patient person. So yeah, if I go, oh, I'm not patient, I can work on that. It's a form of reflection. So that's what I try to usually tell people, because I've had people be like, I don't believe in it. And it's like, okay, well, you don't believe in self-reflection? That's cute. Good for you. So did that answer your question?
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Okay. It's fine. I can try to re-explain.
It just brought up more questions. No.
So happy you're here, Joan. I would not know the answer because I don't do tarot. So I don't know anything about this. For me, my history with tarot is I like that flavor when I get my bubble tea. And
that's my favorite flavor too. The taro.
Oh, got it.
It's so pretty too.
We've got AVG Turtle saying, oof, that happened to me. Temperance card was out to get me.
Yeah, no, it will. It gets you. There are cards that hurt my feelings a lot. I was actually doing a reading today because I just got a newer deck and I haven't been able to use it too much and bond with it. So anytime I do a reading with it, it always seems a little off. So we were doing something and it hurt my feelings. And I did say to it, ow, you're spot on, but I'm your mom. Do not hurt me. That hurts me. Why would you do that? I do feel that each of my decks have a personality, which is really fun too. And that's just adding personification to it. It's just fun. It's just a lot of fun. But my college deck has been known to make a girl cry. Not just me. It's because I got her in college. We've been doing a lot of readings, and a lot of the times it's why doesn't the boy like me? What am I doing wrong with my future career? And the card's you know the answer, you dumb biddy, you dummy, and you're ow.
You know what you're doing.
Joan, we got a question from Dad. Dad wants to know, does it matter where you get the cards from?
So there are different philosophies on this. One of them is that you can never pick your own tarot cards. You need to be gifted your tarot cards, especially your first deck.
Yep, that's what happened to me.
Yeah. Or you need to seek out your cards. You can't order them online or something. You need to get them in person. To me personally, that feels like a weird way of gatekeeping tarot, and I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
So if that's meaningful to you that you get it that way, yes, go ahead. Overall, I would say, in my not professional opinion, do what you want with your cards as long as you feel good and you're not hurting yourself or anyone around you.
I would also like to say that Jacob Mayfield mirrored that sentiment, and he said, if you want to go ahead and buy yourself a set and you want to actually use them, do it.
Yeah. I would not say Amazon's not a no. I mean, technically you're not ethically sourcing your cards, but whatever. My most recent deck I got from Amazon because I saw somebody have it and I really loved it.
Yeah, some of them just have really nice designs.
Mhm.
And I mean, I think in my own opinion, coming from both sides, I was gifted my very first.
Yeah.
Not that I knew you had to do that. It was just I had a friend who was very much into it, and I asked him about it, and then one day he was just like, "Oh, here you go," and he gave it to me, and so I was like, "Oh, okay." And then somebody told me that's actually a very good thing that you were gifted yours, so I was like, "Oh, okay." But then later on, I saw some like at a Barnes and Noble that had really cool designs. I was like, "Wow!" It never occurred to me that, oh, I just pulled this off a shelf. To me, it's this one is special to me because a very good friend of mine gave it to me. But the other thing is I picked these out on my own because obviously there was something about them that caught my eye. And in that way, there is a connection already, I assumed.
And that's like my philosophy too. I go to a class every month. It's a weird way of saying it. I go to a dance class, but there is also a witchy aspect to most of these dance classes. And every time we pull an oracle card, do not make that face, Frank. And some people like hover over the oracle cards and feel something. I just pull whatever card because I'm like, if it's meant to be, that's why I'm grabbing it. That's why I have this card.
Yeah.
So some people are like more, don't say burn the witch. Those are real people. So rude. I am not a witch. I am witch adjacent because I am bad at practicing and studying.
Plus y'all saw what happened with the Sanderson sisters. You don't fuck around with that stuff. You leave them alone.
No.
I don't know what happened to them. What happened to them?
Never.
They came back. A virgin lit the candle.
Okay, I take it back, Joan. Also, this conversation, it makes me want to buy a really elaborate deck. Not to use, but to give away to somebody like one day that like.
So there's a really fun deck out there that takes a single card from 52 other decks and makes a deck that way.
Oh, wow. Okay. So it's kind of like a Frankenstein deck.
Yes, it's like a Frankenstein deck, and it's very hard to read because there's no book that goes along with it or anything like that.
Like, what is this?
So it's very intuitive reading.
I pulled the Blue Eyes White Dragon. What kind of major arcana is this?
Right? I do not know the name of it. I will have to look it up for you. I'm sorry. I just know somebody has it at the class I go to, and I'm like, oh, that's such a good idea. Like if you want like different things. So I guess like it's a good time to ask, since you've mentioned it a little bit, what are your two personal histories with tarot?
Do you want to go first, Paige, or do you want me to go first?
I can go first because it's pretty quick. So every year we go to the Texas Ren Festival, and there's always a tent set up where people are doing either tarot readings, palm readings. I've seen the ruins, and I think there's bones. So I just go straight to tarot readings. The friend that gifted Phrog his deck he did a reading on me. So I like getting readings done. I just don't know how to do them, and I wish I was more knowledgeable in knowing what cards mean, but I also like going in blindly, so I can interpret it in my own way instead of having like this notion of what each card's supposed to mean and this is what this means exactly. Like I'd like to just go into blank slate. But that's just my experience with it.
Okay.
As far as mine, like I said, I've always been interested in anything that you could consider paranormal, supernatural, esoteric, you name it. It's just something that has always drawn me to it, because me, just like a lot of other people out there, like to believe there is a little something more out there than just, what you see and what you're told growing up. But like I said, I had questions about it before. I'd never gotten, prior to this, I'd never gotten like a reading before. I had never bothered to go to any of those markets or little booths. But then one day I got on the conversation with our friend, and then eventually that really drew me in, and I wanted to know more. So not only did he gift me a deck of cards, he also gifted me this handbook that goes with him that explains the difference between the major and the minor arcana, what you can take from certain readings, and what happens if the card falls out, what happens if it's upside down, this way, that way, whatever. And I was like, oh wow, this is really cool. And really, I just kind of fell in love with the artwork that I found on a lot of these different decks. And the more I fell in love with them, the more I wanted to know, well, how did these work? And then eventually I let him do a reading for me. And then I let another friend of ours who's really intuitive with it do a reading for me. And it had happened enough times to where it wasn't like, oh, well, that's coincidental. It was almost on that freakish line of maybe there is a little more to this, because obviously I'll go into anything with an open mind, but I also ground myself in, okay, well, there's got to be an explanation for everything that happens. And I think if you are going to get into anything that is paranormal, supernatural, esoteric, or whatever, it does help to ground yourself a little bit. So you don't just go, flying off in all these different directions and then getting into realms of just complete madness.
It becomes very contradictory very
exactly
quickly.
Exactly. So when I got my readings the first time, it read like a book, and I thought, okay, well, that's just because this person knows me so well. But that did not explain why the cards that were being pulled just so happened to all be cups. And then the next reading, I had never told this person that I had gotten the other reading, pulled nothing but cups. So I was always getting cups, and both of them were like, you have a lot of emotional turmoil, like, and I'm like, holy hell, this is becoming a little more coincidental than I'd given it credit for. So then I got a second reading from the first person, same thing, more cups than anything. So I was like, oh, okay, let's do this ourselves. Maybe there's something to this. So I didn't bother with learning a whole bunch of different trees and spreads. I was like, this is just to dabble. I just want to try this myself. So I did everything that, these experts, quote unquote, told me to do. And it was like, leave your cards out to where you can spend more time with them. So I did that for I think it was 2 weeks. I left them out in the moonlight. I had the cleansing crystal. I did all that. And then I was like, okay, well, I found this very simple spread. It was a 3-card spread, past, present, future. I was like, all right, I can do that. So I pulled, boom, pulled, boom, pulled, boom. And I'm looking at them like, okay, so what could this mean? Da, 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 da. And it just so happened that the point I was in my life could very much be translated almost exactly to what the most acceptable or the most common explanation for each card was. So I was like, oh man, okay, this is hitting a little too close to home. And ever since then, I was like, all right, I don't question it. I do believe there's very much something to it. And then it from there, it spiraled out to, okay, this is my beginning deck. This I know, but my next one, and this is just a theory I'm kind of working on. I don't know what the rules are when it comes to tarot as far as acquiring your decks, but I want to make my own. Pour a little bit more into it. Like the images that are depicted, most people most likely would never know what they represent, but to me, I would know every image that is used for whatever arcana, what it means to me. I don't know if that'll mean, oh yeah, I can read these more accurately or whatnot. I just think it would be cool. And to this day, I still kind of doodle different ideas and variations of it. But as far as my whole experience with tarot, it's just, I liked the way it looked. I found through experience there was a little more to it, and now I'd like to make my own.
Yeah. I will say most decks are based off the Rider-Waite-Smith deck for artwork usually, but make your own. It's fine.
Yeah.
There are no rules. If someone tells you there are rules, they're wrong. They're mean.
Yeah, so for just for an example, one of the cards that I was just kind of dabbling with is, I know you've got the major minor arcana. I have not touched trying to make a major arcana card yet, because I feel like there's going to be a little more thought process that has to go into that. But I had a theme of eldritch, otherworldly beings on these cards. So I had made one of the pinnacle cards, and it was essentially this alien being that was wearing robes that had so many pinnacles surrounding it.
Mhm.
And I really liked the way it turned out. But I'm like, anybody could pull this and be like, oh, this is a pinnacle card. Oh, this is a cup card. Oh, this is, in this way, I'll make them familiar. I want to make them familiar, not just so like anybody could read it, but just so like I will remember what this card is.
The trick is to write a book while you're doing it. That's the
Oh
trick.
man.
So you know what they're supposed to be.
Yeah. I finish it and there's no guidebook. Like, ah, shit. I knew I forgot something.
Are we ready? Are we ready to start that reading, Joan?
We can. So first off, you need, I believe it's Paige coming. So the first thing I need to do is I have given everybody this spiel since I've been starting tarot. But I lied. Before we do that, you have to pick which deck you would like to use. I have 3. So the first is the classic Rider-Waite-Smith. The second is also, you'll never believe it, the Rider-Waite-Smith, but it's very foiled.
It's sexy.
Wow.
Yeah, I got this for my bridal shower because the theme was the future misses. So these were decorations that I then got as a gift.
That's nice.
Or you can go with the modern witch deck, which is the Rider-Waite-Smith, but with all female or feminine presenting people on it. So pick your poison.
Who's picking
let's
it?
go.
You want it? Paige, you're picking first.
Paige is picking.
Okay.
Let's go with the first one.
Okay. My classic, my first deck, my baby. Okay. So here's the spiel. I am going to ask, nothing I do or say today is set in stone. Sorry. What's up? Oh, you froze for a little bit. There we go. Nothing I do or say today is set in stone. The tarot is
my
meant
internet's being a little
to
spotty. Like the perfect timing. Love it.
is
Keep
meant
going.
to show you what could be if you continue on this path. So if you see something that you do not like, you are able to now change it. You have that power. I will be doing a 7-card reading, 2 cards in the past and the reason why you're asking the question, 3 cards in the present and what's currently happening, and then 2 cards in the future, which is what will happen if you continue on this path. I would like you to think of a question. Usually I would have someone shuffle the deck, but I have them think of a question. And the question cannot be as specific as what am I having for breakfast, even though I do have a card that looks like a baby on a horse carrying a bacon flag. It is not. But it can't be so broad as like, what is the meaning of life? Because that is changing all the time. So think of something. Usually it's best to think of a yes or no question. Do realize it will not answer yes or no. It's going to tell you the positives and negatives surrounding you. So I, right now, just need you to think of that question very intently and tell me when to stop shuffling.
Okay.
While you're thinking about it, Hein says Paige is not freezing. She's just bending time and space to her will. Nothing unusual.
She always does that.
Stop.
Okay. Ooh, I got to push them together first. Okay. I'm going to split. I'm telling you what I'm doing because I don't have a camera for it. I'm going to split the deck into 3. It's not necessarily even. And I'm going to put it back together, but not in the way that I took it apart. Your first card is the Tower, upside down. Second card is Strength, also in reverse. Your present cards are Ace of Wands, the 10 of Swords in reverse, the Knight of Wands, and then the future, if you continue down this path, is the 10 of Wands in reverse, and the 10 of Pentacles. So you have a lot of 10s here, and 10s typically in the tarot means the end of a cycle. So let's get into it. In the past, and the reason you may be asking this question, I see you have the tarot in reverse, which Usually a lot of people, not the tarot, the tower. A lot of people do not like the tower card because when you look at it, there's a lot of people falling from a building. But however, you got it in reverse, meaning that these people are actually flying now and they're floating up. So you have gotten news recently that has rocked your world, but not necessarily so much in a negative way. But it was shocking all the same.
Yes.
You have strength in reverse, which means that I shouldn't say you're doing this because that's not a good practice. Strength in reverse typically means someone is struggling with understanding their actual strength versus just being strong. So if you look at the card, the woman is holding the lion's mouth shut. The lion is strong, but the woman has strength because she is only asserting so much power that she needs to, and that's true strength. Right now, there's a struggle for knowing like what is too much, what is too little. Am I giving too much? Am I giving too little right now? That's the past, and the reason you might be asking this question. Continuing to the present now, you have the Ace of Wands, meaning that recently you have had, or could be recently, that you've had an experience where you're starting to think of things in a new light or a different way. You've just been inspired with a new idea about it. This is the only card I'm a little concerned about, I'm not going to lie to you. You have the 10 of Swords in reverse. So the 10 of Swords, it's a bittersweet card, depending on the meeting. So as you can see, this man has been stabbed by 10 swords. This is essentially the card of stop beating a dead horse. Like the issue that you are talking about or that you're thinking about, it's done. Nothing else can be done about it. Now that it's in reverse, the idea is this man is sliding down his sword. It's really done. You really can't do anything about it. But what this card hopes for is that knowledge helps you let go of the thing that's out of the control. Because it's trying to tell you that, like, you did everything you could. It's okay. It's okay to let go of it now. You also have the Knight of Wands. And that is, you've been taking action recently in that thought. It might actually be the thought that's recently been coming to you, but you're starting to put that into action, and you're very much like, knights are always like the Disney princes, but in different ways. Like, especially like the Knight of Cups is very much like, I'm in tune with my feminine side. I know what emotions are. This guy is like, he thinks and then he acts on it. Like, he's a doer. He's the doer prince. So you are in that. It's either you, or they say sometimes, usually I find that cards usually read for you and not people around you. This could be a young gentleman in your life or someone who is like a brother to you, but like acting in that way.
Her brother is actually in the stream.
We love that.
Yeah, that's why I made a face.
Oh, sorry.
I feel like you don't pay attention to me, Frank. Can we talk about our
do.
relationship for a second?
I'm actually learning along with, to be honest with you.
He's taking notes right now.
Good.
Not physical notes, mental notes, but I'm doing my best.
So you also have the 10 of Wands in reverse, which, once again, going back to my little friend here with the 10, typically when you're doing this, that means you feel like you're carrying a burden. Usually it's not your burden, you're carrying burdens for other people. So when this is in reverse, it either means that you have now dropped that burden, and that could be a good thing, or you feel like you've failed people. And that's a bad thing. So be mindful of the burdens you're carrying for other people. But you also have the 10 of Pentacles, which is like, it like represents like wealth, and it I always say pentacles when I say wealth, it's just something you find value in. Typically people say like money, but it could be like just anything you put value in. But it's feeling like the older generation is giving to you, or that like you're so like financially secure, and your family is financially secure in some way, in a wealth, whatever, not finances, but like the wealth of your family is so secure and it makes you feel good and you're safe. So the work that you're putting in, or the work that your family is putting into this, is going to work out. Does that answer your question?
It does.
Okay. Do you need anything clarified?
No, I mean, because there's so much stuff going on, like personally right now for me. So some of it like doesn't necessarily pertain to the one question that I had asking, but like to other little things that make sense and kind of.
Oh.
Yeah. This is also a bitch deck. This is, as I said, makes a girl cry. I have also had them be like, I want to ask a different question. Because I also forgot to tell you, but I also go, don't ask questions you don't want answers to.
Yeah,
you're not going to like it.
No, I try not to go too deep because I am such a crier. Everything makes me cry. I'll be so happy crying. Every time I watch Disney movies, I cry. Like anything makes me cry. You can ask my boyfriend.
So, you want to watch Disney movies together?
I would. I want. Wait, side note, I recently got back from Miami. My boyfriend lives there and we watched Tangled for the first time.
You watched it only for the first time?
It was his first time watching it. I started bawling like at the part where like the king and queen they're getting ready to do the lanterns, right? And they're just kind of like looking at themselves, and I just like start like heaving, crying. My boyfriend's just looking at me. I was like, look how they look at each other, and look how he looks at her in the boat. Like it's such like everything makes me cry.
I'll have to watch that. I've never seen it.
The only Disney movie I need is Coco.
No, that's a one-time watch.
No, Lion King was sad, but Coco just that fucked me up.
Oh, Lion King is legitimately my favorite movie, like of all time.
My favorite Disney movie, Lion King.
Disney movie, any movie. It's like,
yes,
I'm a child. But going back, this deck has been known to be like, I know you asked this question, but actually, I'm gonna answer your question. And it's like, I didn't really want you to answer that one. It's like, oh, I thought you should know. She never got out of college. I'm so sorry. I apologize if she hurt your feelings.
We need the blunt truth sometimes. You know.
AVG Turtle saying Big Hero 6 messed me up. Never again.
I've never seen that movie.
Don't watch it.
Big Hero 6.
Don't watch it.
It's my favorite also, AVG Turtle, actually.
Is it because the famous emo rock band from Chicago plays the big song in it?
No, I just feel like I relate to the protagonist, but
I imagine the movie would just be like the Iron Giant.
No, there's a nice sibling in there that
but also
cry, so.
Yeah, it's not the Iron Giant, but also does hurt your feelings like the Iron Giant.
Of course.
But within the first 10 minutes versus the whole feature-length film.
I actually just watched it for the first time, I think like a few months ago, and I cried so hard. Yeah. That's another one-time watch. I won't ever watch that movie again.
Yeah.
That's about right.
We got some Beanomancer saying that's true. Thanks, Beanomancer. You guys, is Beanomancer a frog champ? I don't know who that is.
That's my boyfriend.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, good.
It's Bean.
Thanks for crying during that movie. Glad to see things can still move us as human beings.
Yeah.
Telling you.
I'm a Cancer. I can move at everything.
Also, best name I've ever seen as an online handle, Beanomancer. So damn good.
No, but going back to like your cards, like I know right now, like I can never ask to go like get deeper meanings on a question because I will cry. Like I can't.
We can do it later. Don't you?
If you guys want to do it after we cut camera at the end of the stream, you guys can totally do that.
Do you want to do another reading? Does anybody else want to do a reading?
Phrog, go. Phrog.
No, my cups are already full.
Dude, let me see your cups.
No.
Just a moment.
I have too many cups.
Cups.
Just let me see your cups, dude. Come on.
They're all those vintage early 90s McDonald's cups, the glass ones.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to say, we could do another quick reading, just like how Phrog mentioned, like the past, present, and future one, like the 3 cards.
Yeah, that's good with me. Do you want to stay with this deck or do you want to do another deck?
Oh.
Let's do the wedding deck. That one was really
pretty. Goodbye cards.
Still have that Pocahontas cup, Phrog. Just saying.
Yeah, our parents have that one too. Is Pocahontas?
I have the Pocahontas pillowcase.
There's a couple of them. I know we had the Flintstones ones.
Oh yeah.
The real thick ones.
I remember I had like
Mhm.
it was like just a Disney anniversary. I don't know which one, but it was
Yeah,
just like
we had that too.
Fantasia cup. It was like all
Mhm.
yeah, we had those.
Paige,
Oh,
think
yeah.
of your question. Are you thinking of it?
Let me think of it quick.
Paige, really quick, just wondering, do you feel like there's more pressure now that you know that Bean is watching, or did you already know that he was in on the audience here?
No, I knew he was watching.
Okay. Just
Had to
when you
harass him. You better watch this. Send him the link. Okay, wait. Let me think of my question.
Dude, Bambi was also pretty sad now that I think about it.
They're all sad, Frank.
Why are they
Do
all
you
sad?
think Gaston was the one that shot
Who?
Bambi's mom?
Yeah, would you say Gaston?
I think he was.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. Tell me when to stop shuffling.
Stop.
Okay. I only got one shuffle in. Woof. Okay. I'm splitting the deck into 3. Not necessarily even. And I am putting it back, but not the way I took it apart. Oh. We're doing a past, present, future. Just one card this time. So for your past, you have the 2 of Pentacles. Woo, girly. That's fun. For your present, you have the 5 of Pentacles. And for your future, you have the 6 of Swords in reverse. Okay. Hey, Paige, it's just you and I right now. Can we talk for a little bit?
I'm gonna mute
Of
myself.
course.
You need to stop trying to balance other people's emotions with yours. Let's do that right now. Okay, just a little bit. So in your past, and the reason for asking this question, there's the 2 of Pentacles, which, as you can see, you are doing a balancing act of something you find valuable. But 2 is an unstable balance. And as you can see, he's literally juggling it. So something is going to drop. So you never felt stable with this. Currently, you have the 5 of Pentacles. And if you can see, it's 2 homeless people outside of a church. Meaning that you are seeking refugee, and either you feel like you're being denied or you can't find the right refugee for yourself in some way. If you continue on this path, we have the 6 of Swords. And as you can see, it's the rowboat man and a woman and a child. And it's hard to see with this card, but on one side there's very rough waters, and on the other side there's very calm waters. And what this card typically represents is a transactional period with a person in which you will have to trust them to get you to the other side of something. So if you look, the woman and child cannot see the ferry boat man. They're not looking at him, but he's doing his job, and they have to trust that he will get them through the rough waters into calm waters across the other side. For you, this is in reverse, meaning that you do not trust that person trying to get you to the other side. So I assume that has to do with your juggling of things, if I had to guess, and also you looking for refugee and not finding it. So without knowing your question, as I said, I would stop putting other people's emotions on yourself, or you putting your own emotions on somebody else and expecting them to reciprocate in some way for you. Because it's just going to create distrust, and you're not going to feel like you can rely on people. And it's not saying that you can't rely on people. You're just going to end up feeling like you can't. Was that helpful?
I feel like that's a very Sagittarius thing. It's very it's very helpful. It's very stressful, very just like, it's like me wanting to have that control, and you're telling me like you gotta let go, and it's just like this trust of needing to.
Pages is the one that yanks the wheel out of Jesus's hand.
Give me that. You don't know where
Give
we're
me that
going.
shit.
Give me that shit, Jesus. God, it helps a lot.
Yeah. These were a little
Man.
more brutal, so I'm sorry.
It's what we need to. It's what I need to hear, because I'm a very brutal, blunt person. You can ask all my friends. You can ask Phrog. I hurt people's feelings, not on purpose. It's out of like love. Like I give people the hard truth. I don't sugarcoat stuff. So sometimes I guess I need a taste of my own medicine, and it's just disgusting, like Robitussin.
The tussin.
The tussin.
AVG Turtle interjects and says, "You never had control. All you ever had was anxiety." That's the favorite quote. Thanks for that.
Oh, great. We love anxiety. She's always with me.
The quote I try to remind myself about anxiety is you're writing the play before you have actors. So just like trying to like get things out, and then it's gonna work this way, and I'm gonna do it this way, and it doesn't necessarily work. But yeah, no, I do this too, where I like rely on people in a certain way, or I think people should treat people a certain way based on the way that I've treated them, and it doesn't work out that way. So
yeah,
hope that's helpful.
It is.
Okay. Do we have any other questions, or do you need any clarification on anything I said?
No, it's.
I feel like I really hurt your feelings. I'm so sorry.
I'm just gonna go to bed and pray and like rethink my life for a little bit.
No, it's fine.
I'm good. Just start bawling.
Pray to Jesus and go, why did you make them say that? That's so mean.
Man. Yeah. That was good though. That was needed. Okay. I know one thing like about myself is I'm like in a sense terrified of tarot cards. Like I don't ever want to own any of them. Like I feel like I have so much energy, and like all my friends like we're very high energy people, and like it just terrifies me to think of having like my own deck. But I do eventually want to buy a book so I can understand them more. Just because I'm curious.
I learned tarot in Tarot for Dummies. So it's a great book.
Mayfield said totally acceptable. It's got stuff in there.
Mm-hmm.
Or Jacob Mayfield's book. I will admit I have not read that yet. But he was very competent when speaking to us about it. So I believe him. I mean, I would suggest, if your brother is okay with it, depending on the energy, to let you play with his cards.
Go for it.
I've let people go through my cards and touch them and everything, and like I just try to recenter them after, and like people do some cleansing. I personally feel like just shuffling through my cards after other people have touched them, just to like almost like an animal, like shh, it's me, it's mom, it's okay, it's okay.
It's okay.
Also, really quick, I just wanted to mention, because we've been talking about it all night tonight. So we did give away Jacob Mayfield's book. I did order it on Amazon on January 1st. Aaron Does Art on Instagram is the winner, and it's arriving by Wednesday. So it's taken a minute to ship. I'm just saying, it's already like almost a month later.
You can't rush quality, okay?
You can't.
Aaron, if you're listening to this, or if you do listen to this, you'll be getting it hopefully Wednesday. Just saying.
So that being said, it has been an hour. Do we have any final wishes, final thoughts, final dreams you want to come true? I can't do that, but I just want to know.
Fast hour.
It was.
It was a very fast hour.
It was. The only final thoughts I have is that I really want to explore a little bit more of this, and I most likely will be doing a lot of my own research, but I'm also going to kind of craft a few theories I want to work on. I don't necessarily know if it'll work or if it'll work well, but we'll see.
StormPhrog, remind me to send you. There is an RPG that you can play as like a deck exploration, where like it doesn't necessarily have to go with the meaning of the cards, but you pull cards and base your character's trait and the story they go based on the cards you pull. And it's like just a nice way to become familiar with your deck.
Yeah.
I think we're going to try to organize at some point a game night of some kind. You guys should totally do that with us.
My husband put it in the chat. Thank you. Thanks, bub.
We also Turtle wants to know what our favorite cards are if we're familiar with the decks. I don't know the cards by heart, Turtle, so I don't have a card, but I'd love to.
Yeah, Frank, you want to tell everyone what you said your favorite card was last week?
Did I say
Blue Eyes White Dragon?
No, he said it was the 12 of Cups.
Oh yeah, the 12 of Cups. Yeah, that's my favorite.
What is mine?
It was kind of a joke because on that one night that we had
Sin's in the chat. Hi, Sin.
Hey, Sin Schrader Hill's in the chat. I meant to come on and say hi earlier. How you doing, Sin? Lovely to have you. We're talking about some tarot stuff tonight. So go ahead and Sin, if you have a favorite card, we'd love to know what your favorite tarot card is.
Yeah, if anyone else has favorite cards in there, please tell us.
Phrog, it looks like you were thinking of your favorite card there.
Mine was the Fool. I think it always will be the Fool.
And why is that?
I think it's because the Fool, really, it's kind of the same gist with all of the major arcana. For those who don't know, they just take it at face value, which fair. You know, like if you drew the devil, automatically a lot of people will be like, "Oh, this is bad. This is terrible." If it's in reverse, sometimes it's not all that bad, especially depending again on what it is that you're wanting to know. But the Fool, I find in his depiction, you know, if he's right side up, obviously it looks like he's about to like step off a cliff and all that. But then at the same time, he's not bothered, you know. And I think there's a lot of wisdom that comes with the Fool that you would not expect. Like, in fact, I think it could be argued that the Fool is actually one of the wisest cards because it is a very self-aware card. And that's what I really like about it, is that a lot of people, again, who don't really know, can misjudge it. It's almost the exact opposite of what you get from your initial interaction with it. And there's been a couple of readings where the Fool in reverse has played into mine. Like, yeah, I get a lot of cups, but the Fool pops up a lot too. And it's just kind of like, I get that. I have respect for this card, because at first I thought this thing's calling me stupid, but not really. It's the self-awareness part of it that's like, it kind of reassures you that all this stuff that you're going through, you more or less expected, and therefore, even though you feel like you're kind of stumbling through it, in a way, you know what you're doing. Like, this was the path. You might feel foolish for having to taken it, or you've done some of the things that you did, but you've done it with a genuineness that you are hopeful, and you know somehow you're going to get through it in your own bumbling way.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing too, when we talk about tarot, is like, yes, most of the time cards are laid out in a linear fashion, but they are a cycle. The Fool is the alpha and the omega of the deck. He is stepping from his solid rock understanding of something into the air onto a cliff, because he's going into something new. The Fool isn't stupid, he's naive, which is fine to be, because we are all naive at some point. We all start a journey. So
I think everything starts off with naivety. Every single accomplishment or discovery or invention comes from the naivety of not knowing how this is going to work out.
Joan, also really quick, we had a couple of people say what their favorite cards are. I was wondering if you could just quickly let us know what those cards kind of signify. We had, let's see here, we had Widow G, Papa Phrog, say the Suicide King.
That's in a regular deck of cards, isn't it?
I'm assuming the Suicide King would be similar to the Hanged Man.
I think it is, if I'm not mistaken, because I was reading a little bit today before we went live, and I know that it was not unusual for tarot cards, before they were specifically their own thing, to be actually used in regular playing card decks. That's why Nine of Diamonds, you know, all that stuff, Nine of Diamonds, Ten of Pentacles, like, it all reads the same. But I believe the Hanged Man and the Suicide King are the same thing, because the Suicide King, for those who don't know, is the king in the card deck that has the sword in its head. You might argue it's behind it, but a lot of people say no, it's like he's stabbing himself.
I swear, if it's the last card, I was looking for the card and I'm going through the whole deck and I'm like, if it's the last card, I'm gonna lose my mind. Okay, so the Hanged Man, so he's very interesting. I enjoy this card very, very much, because usually a hanging is a sign of death. But if you look at the Hanged Man, he's actually in the position of a child being born. He's coming out head first. He also has this ring around him, which tends to represent enlightenment. We see that in a lot of like Renaissance paintings as well, as a form of enlightenment. And the thing is, he's now become enlightened because he's looking at the world from a different perspective. So just as a newborn is, bright-eyed, new to the world, sometimes changing your perspective makes you like a newborn in that way, in a new sense. So when he is upright and he is stuck standing, it tends to, or the way I interpret it, I should always put it that way, because there's many, many ways to interpret tarot, that you are stuck in your ways and that you need to break out of a way of looking at something. So there is that. Then the Three of Cups, I believe, is the celebration card. I also need to look at the pictures because I'm a picture girly. Three of Cups. It is three maidens dancing. I swear I saw you at the front of the deck. Did I not see you at the front? This is what happens when you have too many cards in a deck. Just kidding. So typically the Three of Cups is three maidens dancing around, and it is a celebration card. And when you get it, it's often telling you or reminding you to celebrate the small things, or take time. It's often thought of like with the solstice as well, or the different solstices.
Solstices? It sounds right to me.
Oh, here we go. So you can see three women around, dancing around a plentiful harvest, drinking, having a good time. It means you need to have a girls' night. That's actually what it means.
Huh. Okay.
Fun fact. Yeah. Ye old girls' night. And then the moon is also very fun. The moon can be scary when you get it. The way that I've always interpreted the moon is that it is chaos, but it's a natural chaos. And the way that I describe it to people is that hurricanes happen and we don't necessarily know why, what the benefit is, but they happen. And they have to be a reason why they happen. And to us, it might not seem like a good enough reason, but it does because it happens naturally. Of course, I can't find my moon card.
Zen also says that's my life, chaos. I don't think I don't know.
So it's kind of nice because it's another one of those cards that, like, when you're really struggling to feel like you have control of something or feel like you need to have control of something, the moon card lets you know that, girl, you don't. It's fine. Don't worry. It's chaos and it happens. And chaos isn't necessarily bad. It happens. It's natural and it's a cycle of life. And sometimes you need to take pause and let the chaos happen around you and go from there. Here we go. So as you can see, there's the moon and there's animals who don't tend to hang out all the time. Okay. Even the lobsters are coming out and the dancing.
Lobsters.
Bring out the dancing lobsters. Yeah. So
the Divines quote. I got you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Bring out the dancing lobsters.
Okay. Let's
see.
I
thought there was a scorpion coming out of the water. Be like, oh.
I mean, it could be. It's chaos.
These are some Cenozoic level creatures coming out of the water.
Okay. I don't think there was any more cards. Paige, did you have a favorite card, or do you have a favorite card?
Oh. I don't necessarily have one because I'm not too familiar with all of them. So I'd like to become more familiar with them. But I will say that every single time that I have had a reading, I've always had the Tower, whether it's in reverse.
Are you serious?
That scares the living shit out of me.
Yes, and I don't know if
stop having such shocking things happen to
some
you.
insight on that, maybe.
I don't know if it's a good thing or bad or just...
it's not necessarily a bad. I'm a little scared that you're just constantly shocked. Like if I wasn't a nice person, I'd be like, are you just unaware of everything happening, that everything's just a major shock to you? I feel so, because like the Tower is like something like rocks your world. Yeah, like you're like, oh my God, things will never be the same.
Our family has a history of that.
Oh gosh, that is true. You have told us a lot of stories about that. I want to apologize, but like, because like that's one of those cards where like you get it and it's not like you could do anything differently.
Our family lives in the Tower. That is their apartment building, essentially.
Oh, God. You should get an inspector to go, oh God, it's real bad.
You know what I'm thinking, Joan?
All my cups keep falling down.
Oh, my cups keep falling.
Stop.
Joan, I'm thinking you and I, let's use some of the late night legend petty cash. Let's send Paige Jacob Mayfield's book. What do you say?
I would do that.
Do it.
Okay, I'll get on it.
Go on.
I'll get on Amazon right now.
Do it.
Do it.
I don't know
Paige,
Paige.
would you? I know you said you're scared. Would you like to be gifted a tarot deck?
I'm gonna say yes because
Okay.
it'd be a gift, so I can accept it and not feel like, oh my gosh.
It's the way to go.
You
I
gift.
will.
I'll gift the book together.
Okay.
It'd be awesome.
I will gift you a tarot deck, and feel free to come and ask questions. As I said, I am no expert, but I would love to help you on a journey with this if this is something you're interested in. Because I do not think that they are scary. I think they are a tool, and just like a car, if you know how to drive it, you're safe. And as long as you protect yourself and your energy, they can't hurt you. They're cardstock.
Y'all have just created the next Aleister Crowley.
Paige, can we have a follow-up show with what you learned, and maybe you can give one of us a reading in like October? Can we do that?
Yeah, I'd be down.
That'd be so awesome. I would volunteer myself. And that's not even something I did for Joan. How do you like those apples?
Yeah.
All right. It's
Just
on the
keep
internet
your-
now. Can't
Yeah.
go back on what you just said.
All
Yeah,
right.
that's
Halloween,
true.
we're
Rich
having
shit
a
away from
seance.
him.
And Bean wants to see it happen. Bean said he's the El Borracho card to my, and I answered him I would be El Huevon, which would be mine. And Bean said, my cards are pretty and always feel like a story when I read them. AVG Turtle, if you want to tell us about your deck, we'd love to know. Or from
I'd
you.
love to hear it.
Yeah, we want to talk about your deck if you want to give us some info on it.
I'm pretty certain mine is not on speaking terms with me
You
because
have your deck, Phrog. Do you want to show us your deck?
it's tucked away. Like ever since it kept calling me out of my cups, I'm like, I'm not talking to you no more.
You need to.
Yeah.
You need to have a sit down with your deck. You need to talk. To it.
It's just gonna throw more cups at me.
Can we have a reconciliation?
It's throwing cups at you because you didn't fix the problem, and it's
I'm
like,
like-
hey,
I'm like pulling cards, and I'm like, I see more cups, and tears come down my eyes. I'm fine. I'm
Fine.
fine. I'm fine.
fine. I did for my 30th birthday. Like I gifted myself because I had these 3 decks. I did a reading from each deck about how the next decade was going to go for me. So you can do something like that where you just pull it. If you pull every day, you're statistically not going to get cups every time. And
would
if
hope
you
not.
do, we'll go onto psychologytoday.com and we will find you
Yeah, I know,
someone
right?
professional
Good
to
Lord.
talk to.
That's why I get a little bit triggered when people are like, I've got all my cups in order. I'm just like, she's like,
Do you? You got all of them in order?
got all of them? Really?
It's just interesting that you always get them because, as I said, like a lot of people will feel that like the cards are calling them out, and like
Mhm.
if you keep coming into the same cards, there is a reoccurring issue, especially when it's a
Oh.
minor set, not necessarily the major.
Dude, you got to get
Yeah.
your checked out, man.
I'm telling you, because every time I take a look, it's like my cards. I'm like, all right, let's just see what's going on today, and it always starts with, "Are you okay?"
Are you okay?
Like, oh Jesus, not this. It's like Paige knows like my TikTok. I cannot look at my TikTok because I'll be just I'll see something funny, and then my eyes are all bloodshot and I'm crying because something has like upset me, like it was a real touching thing
So
or
TikTok
whatever.
and tarot are calling you out.
Well, no, so this is where I drew the lines. One time I opened up TikTok and I was like, all right, let's see what's on my feed. First video, it's a guy just sits down and he puts a beer down close to the camera and he cracks it open and he doesn't say anything. I'm like, what is this about? And he goes, hey man, I know you're going through things. And I was like, oh, fuck off, man.
Was this Steve from
Okay.
Blue's Clues? 'Cause I got the
Oh
same
my God,
video.
No,
Okay.
I get the other night. This is 100% true. I was about to take a shower. I'm like, well, let me just browse, see what's going on. First video, Steve from Blue's Clues is like, hey man, how's it going? And he's just like listening. I'm just
So-
gonna admit it.
Yeah.
I told him everything.
Yeah,
I was just I was just like alone in the bathroom, just Steve, da 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 da. Next thing I know, I'm in the shower, just
So this is me being very vulnerable, and I hope I don't hear my husband giggling in the next room over. As many of you might know, Matt Pat announced his retirement from YouTube. And at first I was sad hearing it, not because like I'm a major gamer, but I did get into game theory more recently because I like lore. I love hearing about stories. But like I was a little sad because I'm like, oh, I remember back in college, even when I wasn't into game theory, I knew like that's just a theory, a game theory.
Yeah.
And I am like, oh, I'm old. Like that hurts my feelings. I wish that didn't happen, but I'm old. It's an end of an era. That's a little bit sad.
Yeah.
Don't ask why, because I pay my therapist way too much money. I don't pay her. Tony, I pay you just enough money. Girl, you keep going. I love you. I pay a lot of money to go to therapy, and I have a thing about grandparents. All of my grandparents are dead. So sometimes when I see a cute old man on TV, I cry a little bit and I go, can I adopt him? I'm in the market. I have no grandparents.
Yeah.
And I have another thing about people telling me they're proud of me. And Matt Pat goes into this spiel out of nowhere, and he goes, you know, I'm like a grandpa on YouTube now. And as your grandpa, I want to tell you, I'm proud of you. And I'm proud of everything you did and that you're doing. And I paused it like 15 times because I was sobbing so hard. But I'm the type of person who sobs and laughs to try to make myself stop crying.
Me.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And my husband was like, did he tailor make this for you? And I'm like, I don't know, but it hurts my feelings.
Isn't it weird when you just get sideswiped with something? Like you expect one thing, but then you get the other.
Like I knew I was gonna be sad, and then he's like, "I'm your grandpa, and I'm proud of you, Joan." He didn't say that personally, but I felt like, you know, you might as well.
Yeah,
you might as well.
And
I cried, and then I couldn't watch any of the videos covering it because I was afraid they were gonna play that clip,
and you know they would
cry. Yeah. It's I'm impressed that I'm not crying right now because I was retelling this story several times and teared up.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
There was another TikTok incident. One day I was scrolling and I came across this one and it was like, oh, in like 5 seconds, hold the phone up to your ear to hear Ghost from Call of Duty. And I was like, oh God, he's going to say something funny. He's going to say something stupid. So I was like, all right. So I held it up to my ear and it sounds like it's an actual phone call. And it's him telling me like how proud he is and how strong I am and all these other things. I'm just like, don't do this to me, Ghost. Don't do this shit to me, man.
And I think we discussed this last time, but you're not a water sign, right? In the zodiac?
My moon is Aquarius.
Okay.
But like
He's a Taurus.
I'm Taurus, everything else.
Huh.
Interesting. So that's where the whole I'm fine comes from.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is Taurus a wind sign? AVG Turtle says wind, not water. Is Taurus wind technically?
Oh, I think Aquarius is an air sign.
Oh, okay.
Aquarius is an air sign? That's weird.
Yeah. It's very confusing. Scorpio, Pisces, and Cancer are the water signs.
I wonder what the wind means then.
Dude, I'm telling you, it's like a Gyarados situation where you think it's water, but it's totally flying.
It's totally flying, I'm telling you, man.
Yeah, it's the water. Yeah. Aquarius tend to be pretty rock solid though with like their emotions. They're pretty like buttoned up. I wonder what your rising is. Because the way I was told about it, and mind you, I'm into Zodiac for the plot. I don't necessarily like, oh my God, we're not compatible because of X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Wait, did you say Aquarius are emotionally stable? Because I've known Aquarius.
No, locked up.
Oh,
like they're very like to themselves.
Yeah. Okay. Got it.
We could talk about that later too. Okay.
Yeah, I know, right?
Are you okay, Frank? Are you the Aquarius?
No, I'm a triple Leo. I'm a quadruple Leo.
You know what? That actually does explain a lot.
Insert.
My sun up is a Leo, my sunset is a Leo, and my Saturn rising is a Leo. Okay.
There's so many
moon and rising, not your sunset.
My bad moon rising is
sunrise, sunset, sunrise.
He's over here admitting I have my sunrise and my sunset. You know what? Good for you.
My CCR is a bad sun rising.
There's a bathroom on the right. Anyway, your sun is like who you are overall as a person. Your moon is how you think about yourself, and your rising is how you present yourself to other people. Is like someone gave me that little like tidbit.
Yeah, that's Taurus, Aquarius, Taurus
Okay.
for me.
So you just pretend you're fine all the time.
Mhm.
Yes.
That's fine.
Yeah, actually.
Spot on.
That's
Every
fine.
time I smile, I have cried at least 10 hours plus.
That's fun. It's fun for you. I'm so sorry. That's fun for you.
I mean, it makes for an interesting life. I can tell you that.
It feels like the Taurus, you'd be like, I'm fine. I just want to talk about it. And the Aquarius is like, you're doing a great job. You're really holding it
You're
down.
fine.
No one knows.
You got this.
Nobody
Nobody needs to know. I become Elsa when no one's looking.
And everyone else is like, no, we know. We're watching. We can tell.
I'm fine. Everything's covered in ice. What do you mean you're fine?
We've never actually done a Zodiac episode. We should totally do one of those.
Okay, I will try to research. That is Tarot's is a bunch, but Zodiacs are
we're gonna do a Zodiac episode that you're gonna be like, all right, Phrog, what do you got? Okay, so based off of the crime reports, what I was looking at was like,
The crime
what?
report.
Zodiac signs. You're like, here when they meet in the middle. This is
Here
where
when they meet in the middle, I'd be like, not the Zodiac killer. Oh,
I've cracked the third letter. They've only cracked two, but I cracked the third.
The third letter.
I don't know why we're doing this on a paranormal show, but
I mean,
we're trying to figure out the Zodiac killer's Zodiac sign.
with the Zodiac killer, there are people that say that there's a paranormal aspect because that dude has never technically been found or caught. So they're saying that like there's some spells and junk.
unless it's Ted Cruz.
I thought it
I
was
was
Ted
about
Cruz.
to say that. It was Ted
know.
Cruz.
I don't know.
I don't know. He was 9 at the time, but who knows?
He froze Texas.
Mm-hmm.
He did. He was Elsa. Is he an Aquarius?
I just remember who Ted Cruz was. That guy. Okay.
It's Frog's best friend.
Like who's? I know that name. Oh yeah, that guy
He
in the
left his dog in the house
that,
with no power.
That bastard.
Texas. Bye guys.
Thanks to
Yelling
that.
at Romney for putting the dog on the roof.
I will say thanks to that, man. I now know that you can make ramen noodles with just about every candle that Yankee Candle has to sell. That's how we made our food. Is we just lit a bunch of candles and put a pot over it.
That mean, you know what?
If it works, it works.
Yeah, this is true.
All right, guys, we got to do final thoughts, and then we're gonna at least end the stream. And we can keep talking, but we got to stick to our format, right? Right, Joan?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay.
Okay. Final thought. I mean, I want to keep going, but I feel like we should do a show on Zodiac. I really do. I like that.
We can. That sounds fun.
So right now I have a checklist of shows we have coming up. We're going to talk about paranormal things with art with Phrog and Paige coming up. Check. Probably in the summertime. And then we're going to do a following up on Paige's journey into tarot. Check. And then we're going to do a Zodiac show. Check. And then we'll see what happens after that. Yeah. Okay, that's my final.
Good.
What do you guys got?
Do you want me to go next?
Yeah, you can go next.
My final thoughts is that I'm gonna talk to Paige and Storm after this about really listening to those cards and reflecting on their emotions just a little bit, so the cards stop yelling at them.
It would be good.
Yeah.
Paige, you got a final thought?
Yeah, I feel like my panic attack's just kind of like tightening right here. So if I just like chill out. But I really enjoyed the stream. It helped a lot.
Deck. Look at that. You're walking away with a book and a deck.
This is true.
You get a deck. You get a deck. You get a deck.
Frog, we're not gonna give. He's got to make friends with his deck again. We need to rekindle that friendship.
You probably need to bring out that deck to help yourself.
Oh, I'm gonna have to, because the new one that I'm gonna start working on creating, like, I need to familiarize myself with what looks like what. So,
Phrog, did you want to give a final thought or a take back for our listeners / viewers?
I think my only final thought is, if at any point you were listening to this stream and you're just kind of like, oh yeah, right. First off, hats off to staying grounded and standing by the whole, I know what I know, and whatever. But I would say also open yourself up just a little bit. You'd be very surprised what you discover. And even if you don't believe necessarily everything or really any of it, you'll at least discover some pretty interesting aspects of it, things you may not have known, be they historical or are really just fun little facts about the art world. Because again, with the tarot, a big part of it is the representation and the expression of the images that is being shown. So if you don't appreciate it for its symbolism and all that, at least appreciate the artwork, because there's a lot of really interesting decks out there with some beautiful, I'm talking beautiful artwork on there. You'd be surprised. I wouldn't doubt it that you may even want to like get a big like poster of just one of them, because like I said, some of the major arcana pictures are just, they're gorgeous to look at.
All right, guys, I'll close it up. I want to just kind of piggyback off of that. I like that you kind of touched on just keeping an open mind with everybody. I think for somebody like me who's mainly more of a non-believer, but I will say that I am open-minded. I approach things with an open mind. I'm ready to be wrong, everybody.
Yeah, exactly. There's a part of it, there's an excitement in being wrong in something that you thought like that could never happen. Well, sometimes.
But with that said, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for telling a friend. We want to thank everybody for joining us in the chat. Hi, Navy G Turtle, Papa Phrog, Don Montoya, Sin Schrader Hill. Thanks for joining us. Who else was in there tonight? Did I miss anybody? Lord Cronus, thanks for coming on. Beanomancer, thanks for tuning in tonight. I have a feeling that you're going to have some things to talk about with Paige. We'll see you all next week when we're going to talk about...
Don't put it that way.
Jesus.
I'm going to turn off my phone.
Digital and quantum immortality, everybody. We'll see you then. Have a great night, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.